diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
It's Friday. I was about to take a drink of my talking juice. Hey, time it right. So here we are. Me drinking my talking juice. Almost lost my voice the other day. I had talked so much. Morning, Michelle. Got a meeting at noon with the director. All right, so I usually talk with the CEO, but of Community Reach Center, it's where we were doing our Wednesday meetings. We're going to talk at noon, see what we can do. No, I'm not restarting the meeting or anything. We're just seeing what the needs are. We're going to see if we can try and fill them. Yeah. Honestly, I'm just filling up my day talking with people that kind of do what I do. I don't know what's going to come out of it. I'm not really expecting anything to come out of it except, meeting another person in the industry. That's usually where I start. A lot of what we do takes trust, and we got to get to know each other a little bit first, make sure that, that we have the right intentions. Not necessarily the right intentions, but the same intentions. Yeah. Let's talk about safe spaces for a second. Let's talk about safe spaces. People seem to talk about this a lot. Did a lot of work with safe spaces. I will tell you this. The most unsafe place to share your stuff is social media. It's the worst place to put it because what you're going to get is a ton of opinions. Nobody really remarks on my stuff, so it doesn't. But if you have more followers than me, let's say you have a shit ton of followers, yeah, you're going to hear it. All right. If you go to an AA meeting and I guess we're doing it at 1:00. Okay, good. I got more time. Yay. All right. Not a safe space for that. Our AA meetings, our peer support meetings, safe? No. No, alcoholics and addicts are judgmental people. I know I'm being judged. I know I am. Might be good, might be bad. See, I get intrusive thoughts too. So don't worry about that. Don't concern yourself too much with it. All right. But really only you can be your own safe space. Now there's going to be people that you feel safe around. That's a little different. Is Dion a safe space? I try and make the grassroots AA meeting a safe space for people. Right? But I can't control everything. I can't control your triggers, your emotions, your actions. That is going to be entirely up to you. All right. So choose your safe space. But it's got to start with you. If you want a safe space, what I would recommend is working on your own self-esteem. All right. Amber says cabin is a happy place, and that's probably a safe space for you. Okay? Because Why? Because there's no people around. What makes a safe space unsafe? People. Nothing else. People. All right. So find those few closed mouth friends in your life. Morning, Amber. You're going to need a few closed mouth friends. Okay. I have a group of accountability buddies. It includes my sponsor, my therapist, a few people here, my wife. All right. These are closed mouth friends. All right. And even then, I was talking to a closed mouth friend yesterday. They found out something new about me that they didn't know. All right. I might announce it here. Sorry. Ain't going to happen. You two already know, so don't worry about it. Oh, no way. All right. Because I was looking up the dad jokes, but there's something really ironic. Okay. One time I woke up. I should repeat this. Let me start that over. One day I came to, because I was still drinking. Okay. I couldn't find my wallet. Couldn't find it. Didn't know where it was. Looking all around. Where's my wallet? Because I'm the kind of guy, I put shit back exactly where it got. Even when I was drunk, my wallet, my keys, everything always goes in the same place. Okay. That includes my nail clippers. You move my nail clippers and you're probably going to get your ass reamed. I know it sounds weird, but I didn't get much in life. So the stuff I do have, I'm kind of fucking selfish about. Right. So finally I broke down, went to the wife. I'm like, do you have any idea where my wallet is? And she said, yeah, you made me put it in the freezer last night. I shit you not. This is a true story. And I said, oh, I must have wanted some cold hard cash this morning. That was so you know what time it is? You know what time it is? It's time for Dion's Daily Funnies. Let's get to the first joke here. Why did the man put his money in the freezer? He wanted cold hard cash. Smart man. I went to go get some more laugh tracks and stuff this morning. I tried to get some kids ones. But I only had 5 minutes and I guess I had already taken my allotment. So everything's free for a minute. Oh, we already did this one. Oh man. Okay. My bad. I'm gonna go to Bustle here. Because it was what do you call a fish with one eye? A fits, and I'm no good at that. Son, Dad, can you explain please to me? Dad, can you please explain to me what a solar eclipse is? Dad, no, son. Why did the man fall down the well? He couldn't see that well. He didn't see that well or that well, and he just couldn't see that well, right? I once submitted 10 puns to the joke competition. I really thought with that many, one was sure to win. Sadly, no pun intended. Where do you take someone who's been in a peekaboo accident? The ICU. So, I know. Michelle, those were decent today. All right. Well, we always gotta start things off with a little bit of laughter. We gotta have fun. All right. We're gonna be digging into something a little bit deeper today. It's gonna be a topic not many. I don't know how many people are actually going to agree with this topic. But you know, some people will. I believe that alcoholics are chosen. We were born with this disease, and we were born with this disease for a reason. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I am your host today. We won't have any special guests next week. Next week we have a guest coming on. Paris will be telling her story. That will be out next week. I'm really looking forward to that one. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. I believe we're doing that on Wednesday. Let me double check on that. We're doing it Tuesday, so you'll have it. We'll have that out on Tuesday. The week after that, I'm going to be interviewing a man named Mike T from the Peer Recovery Association. That ought to be interesting. He's going to come tell a story with us, explain why he does what he does. So I'm looking for more speakers. I'm trying to do a podcast a week. All right. So if we can get to that, that's 4 podcasts a month. It's more than you think. Well, not as much as you might think because I don't edit. I see no point in editing. And I will stand on that rock too. All right. So, in the beginning, my alcoholism, it felt like a curse. But I'm going to tell you something, right? And Amber, let me know if you went through this too, because your story is kind of like mine in the beginning, where I knew that I was an alcoholic at a very young age. And in a way, it excited me because it meant I knew I could get away with some things. Yeah. Didn't quite work out that way, though. Worked real well in my head. But when it came to the application of it in life, I mean, I got away with it for a few years, but not for very long. At some point, they started to figure out you're abusing this. You're taking it further. By the time I was 16, I was in treatment. It's the first time I went through treatment. I've been through treatment once. Actually, that's not true. I was in the Phoenix concept for a year, so twice. First time was 28 days. Actually, I think it was 45 days. All right. The second time was a year-long program, and I went all the way through it. Yep. I completed that program. I graduated. I was actually one of the very first alumni to go through the Phoenix concept. It is not what it used to be, though. Right. So at first, I really thought that my alcoholism was a curse. It landed me on the street. It creates bad things. Okay. I created a lot of destruction. The wreckage that comes with it. That doesn't feel, that doesn't feel like a calling, does it? Now, what is it? What was happening? We were going through the hard parts. Did you notice your consequences are different? Yeah. Tyler and I talked about this a lot yesterday, that it's kind of it feels unfair. That I'll drink 7, 8 drinks. That person will have, 3, 4. That's a good comparison because I have a higher tolerance. But even then the consequences are different. Especially once you were tagged with alcoholism. Right? There's a lot of stigma out there. So for a couple of years, I was trying to get sober. And I kept ending up because detox didn't help with, I mean, they made sure you were safe, but they didn't really help with withdrawal management. You have to do that at the ER. And what they did is, I kept trying and trying and trying, and they marked my chart as a pill seeker, and they deemed me an opiate addict also. And I've never been addicted to opiates. Just haven't. All right. I needed it. Okay. Now they won't let you go home with it. That makes sense. can't trust an alcoholic. You can't trust an alcoholic with Ativan alone while they're in early recovery. I'm sorry, but you can't. I don't care who you are. Now, that doesn't mean because what? It didn't matter. I was looking for relief, right? So, in a way, I was chasing it because it gave me relief, but it helped me get to the other side, right? I also had to take Ativan while I was going through the first part of my PTSD. Yeah, I had and I trusted myself with it, but just to be accountable, I gave it to my wife, and when I needed it, I went to her because I knew that I would have to be pretty bad before I asked her. So, yeah, the relationships, the jobs, the trust, the health, the shame, the lies, the self-hate, feeling spiritually dead, walking around like you're just a big meat sack. You know, and I'm sure that you have too. I've been through a lot of hard things in my life. There's not much. Um, I have 5 mental illnesses. And honestly, I'm going to tell you, I don't quite believe that. I don't. I don't totally agree with it. I believe it, but I don't know that I really, you know, agree because some of these things kind of go together. Is it just unregulated emotion? Who knows, right? I mean, how many times, when you go to a meeting, how many times do you hear, especially with the newcomers, I wish my kids would come back. I wish I could just build trust with people. I wish I could just, okay, well, you can, but it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of fucking effort. All right. So let's kind of take a look at this though. Okay. Now I am the scapegoat of the family. I'm the black sheep of my family. You probably are too. We've talked about the dysfunctional family here a lot. You were either the clown or you were the scapegoat. You might have been the lost child too. But the oldest hardly ever, the hero hardly ever becomes the alcoholic. What they become is codependents. And then they're very good at it too. They're very good at saving people. Hero. Yeah. We could be heroes if just for one day. All right. We could be heroes. Sorry, this is kind of a tough one to kind of talk about because yeah, I'm gonna have to talk about some pretty personal things, but well, no, I don't. Okay, but what is really happening here? It is preparation. But the thing is, we don't always make it. Not all of us make it, do we? It doesn't always. In fact, most people that have alcoholism do not make it. They don't even know that AA exists. How could they not know? Did you always know that AA existed? I did, because all right. But really, what I was going through was an emergence. And let me put it this way: I am grateful to be an alcoholic, and a lot of people I'll bring that up in an in-person meeting, and you can hear the what? You can hear the disagreement. But these are people that haven't figured out the answer. They're not recovered alcoholics yet. Recovered alcoholics go, yep, yep, sure am. I agree with that one. Now, why? Why? I am grateful to be an alcoholic because there is nothing else in my life that would have led me to God. And God is probably the biggest fact in my life. This is where people would think I'm religious. I must be. So you call me religious too long, I might just go read the Bible and start preaching at your asses. So I'd be careful what you call me. Right? Just like people called me an alcoholic. I took the challenge. I did. Yeah. 14. You have signs of alcoholism, and you have signs of my foot up your ass. It's coming. Even at that age, I was like that. I was like, fuck you. And all right. So it gave me an excuse, right? So feeling doomed, broken beyond repair, the belief that nothing good could ever come from this. This is the narrative of the curse. Yeah, I'm going to give you an example because I also didn't want CPTSD and I thought I had handled my shit, but I clearly had not. And at 45, I had my first anxiety attack. At 45, just happened. Middle of King Supers. I had no idea where I was at. I'm glad I could remember my wife's name. They had to track her down. And it was hard. It was, I mean, it's a lot of anger, a lot of paranoia, um, a lot of anger, right? And so I was dealing with this, and I, at one point I'm like, God, this is just unfair. How come every time I turn around, there's something else you want to slap in my face? I mean, I've only been sober a year and a half, and now I'm going through this shit, and I can't get out of the house. Going to a meeting was no, wasn't gonna happen. Yeah, I would have triggered or something. So what I did is I started going live. That's how this started. I started going live so I could help other people that might be going through what I was going through because I knew the answer was part of the answer to this, besides therapy, was getting out of self. All right. And what I had to do is I had to learn how to stay home, stay sober without driving my wife fucking crazy, without driving myself crazy. And I did. I learned how to do that. Okay. It took some closed mouth friends, took some talking, took some growing, took some work. And then something happened. COVID happened. And you all came into my world. Now, please don't take this wrong. Right? Because I certainly do not exalt in the death of others, but it made me excited. I got excited. Finally, finally, okay. Something was going kind of, the fact that then I really got to shine and the Zoom meeting started. Now, what was that? What was it? It was a God. You know what God said? He said, Dion, I gave you this disease. I put PTSD in your life right now because I love you, because I trust you with my children. That's what he was trying to say. But because I was in it, I couldn't hear it. It wasn't until it happened that I realized, fuck, now I get it. Now you know what I get to do? Now I work with people with other mental illnesses all the time. The grassroots meeting should just be called the ADHD meeting because I'm sure everybody in that group has ADHD or something. Right? Some people are in the meeting because they're in rural towns and just can't, which I think is really cool. We have a neat group. We have a very eclectic group, which I can appreciate. Right? So see how that arduous thing was actually a gift in a sense. Every time I'm uncomfortable, every time I go through things, it is another opportunity. It is another way. And I'm always looking for more ways, but if they're not centered in the right things, and I tend not to do them. So how the curse becomes a catalyst. Well, the first thing, okay, and what is a catalyst? A catalyst is something that makes something else happen faster. Putting gasoline on a fire will make it'll make it go higher, but then the wood burns quicker. It is a catalyst. What is the catalyst? God. In this case, God. See, God will do for AA and God will do for us in a matter of months what takes doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, even the best of them, years to accomplish with us. Months. See how time is different? Everything's different for you. Get used to it. Every time I turn around, I see how much different I am than everyone. Right? And I'm using that as a broad stroke. Now, I don't think I'm terminally unique anymore. But I do see, okay, and even then, I am treated different than a lot of other people. You know, sometimes people tend to think I don't have feelings or that I don't go through things. People tend to think that my life is constantly happy, joyous, and free. I have an uncle that just went under the knife this morning, man. Okay? Getting ready to come out of major surgery. It's my wife's uncle, but this guy's part of the family. I go through things. Certainly I do. You know? So I'm not here to talk about how I'm different. We're here to talk about how we're the same, right? So alcoholism forces surrender. Most people never experience. Now, remember how you are treated differently? Well, these come in good forms too. They come in really good forms too. Not everything's bad. No. See, alcohol wasn't the problem, it was the solution. But what did alcohol do? It got us to a place to surrender so we would change. That's what we're going for. So, what was alcohol along? It was a catalyst. It made you seek God quicker. You better be thanking alcohol, huh? This is why we must be neutral to alcohol. Because if I told that to somebody, if you're newer, you're probably going, I fucking hate alcohol. Well, you'll get there. You'll get there. But we need to be neutral. I don't hate alcohol. Okay. That'd be like hating water. Why do I hate water? It's just a liquid. All right. Right? It strips away the ego, pride, self-will. Let's surrender. And then before you know it, you're standing in the sunlight of the spirit. Because you will become relieved of the bondage of self. It was me. Right? So take a look at it. Take a look. So remember, if you take a look at your childhood before you started drinking, think of all your alcoholic tendencies that you had, because you had them. I did. Some people, I hear stories all the time. I didn't start drinking until I was 30. 5 years later, here I'm sitting. Catalyst. It got you to surrender quicker. That was the whole point of life, was finding that surrender so that you could have a better life, so that you could be happy, joyous, and free. Now, see, you're going to get gifts that nobody else going to get, like a certain kind of happiness, a certain kind of peace. You're going to be able to see the forest for the fucking trees. Hey, Steph, good to see you. She says sugar addict as a child. Absolutely. Yeah, I believe that. I was told that I have an addictive personality, so I just need to watch everything. I'm like, okay, great. So what I heard was pick your addiction. We're gonna spin the wheel. What addiction we going for today? Right? So if you look at it, it worked that way, didn't it? What else does it do? It's going to bring you a moment of clarity. You, Mr. Miss, I'm going to do everything myself. It was we had defiance from the moment we were born. Defiance. My mom said when I was 11 months old, I almost said sober. That when I was 11 months older, oh, I just did it again, older, except I combined old and sober. All right, dyslexia. You got it straight now? Okay. When I was 11 months old, she said I got up, walked around for about a day and a half, didn't like it, went back to crawling. Started walking when I was like 13, 14 months. I was always defiant. Here's another story. I'm not sure how old I was. Old enough not to remember, so I'm thinking 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that range, right? I guess I was running down up and down the hall, and my mom said, "Dion, if you keep running up and down the hall, I'm going to charge you a dime each time you do it." I went and grabbed my piggy bank. I handed it to her. I prepaid, and I ran up and down that hallway. Defiance. I was always defiant. All right. Steph, nature versus nurture versus nature conversation could be both. Absolutely can be. There might be other things going on in the family, right? Personally, I believe it is a nature thing, right? Because I have seen kids that are adopted who grew up in great families but had the same defiance. I've seen some people that were really good kids, but because of the way that they were not nurtured, they became alcoholics or addicts. So, yeah, personally, I believe in the nature, but that doesn't mean nurture has nothing to do with it. No. Now, what I would say to that is nature versus nurture should never be an argument, but it can be a pathway to a landing place that we can agree on that we went through this shit. We need to be better people, right? So, yeah, thank you for that, Steph. I love it when people throw that hard stuff in there and make me think a little bit more than I should. All right. So, how else does this curse become a catalyst? The moment that becomes a doorway to a spiritual awakening. We talk about this doorway all the time. We call it an arc in AA, right? It says that this is the keystone through the arc of which you are going to walk a free person. Okay. Now, did you know you built this ark? And I'm not talking about the ark that's a boat. I'm talking about the one that holds a door. Step 3 is the keystone to that archway. That door is the door of willingness in step 2. These things go together. That door is your door. It's your key of willingness. And only you can build the ark through which you will walk a free person, because we are going for the freedom of the bondage of self. I'm a very selfish person. I still am. I'm just selfish about something different besides alcohol and Dion. Right. Steph says I wasn't physically addicted to alcohol until I was in my 40s. You were the person I was actually kind of thinking of earlier, and I didn't even know you were here. When I talked about that, I've heard some people not drink till they're 30 or 40, and bam, didn't take long. So thank you, Steph. All right. Pain becomes the invitation to something bigger. So pain becomes a motivation instead of something that we whine about, right? Because what do we say? Pain is the touchstone of all change. Now, I think that's a little overdoing it, because pain is not the touchstone of all change. It is not even necessarily a requirement, but it is often quite used. Okay. Now, I can see this turning into manipulation. I see it all the time. Yeah. These commercials for like treatment centers. I was really blah, 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 blah. Now I'm great. Yeah, these are actors. Okay. We already know the bad part. I know the bad part. I was there. I lived it too. Okay. So when we're using that kind of pain, yeah, that's more. Now, why am I saying that? Because if you can understand that humility and character building is a way to go, you can avoid the pain because then you will be proactive about things going on in your life. You will set yourself up to succeed instead of setting yourself up to fail. So alcoholism is the calling. God often chooses the broken to help the broken, but I am no longer broken. He healed me. And the first thing that he did was take away the obsession of alcohol. Why? Because I earnestly didn't want it anymore. Earnestly. I had no lurking notions. There was nothing left. The only thing left was death. I hit all the yets. Actually, the only death and, well, clearly I don't have alcohol dementia. Maybe a little, but just enough to keep it entertaining. I've always been a little weird in the head, right? And a liver transplant. That's about the only thing in that in alcoholism that I haven't experienced. I've been jaundiced. I've been given 6 months to live. I've been through all that. Didn't scare me. No. Hurting my family without making it right before I left scared me more than death. Right. All right. Alcohol. And so God often helps people who have suffered deeply become powerful servants. All right. And then when you get into the fourth and fifth step, um, when you get into the fourth and fifth step, you start to clean away the wreckage of the past. Okay. And once you don't have any shame or blame, I get a little I get a little pissy when people are unprepared, and I kind of have to answer that. And this is a good point. Steph says childhood trauma opens the door for King Alcohol to come in. Absolutely, it does. Right. So we get through, and since you have no more blame, shame, you don't feel guilt about these things. Now you get to utilize your past to help other people. Hey, I've been there. I know what that's like. In fact, this is what it was like for me. Oh my gosh, your life was like that, so you were like me, and now I'm bringing hope. Now that tumultuous story that everybody just hates me. Now this thing has been cleared up, and I get to use it to save somebody else's life. We're lifesavers. We're lifesavers. I gotta do this. I'm sorry. All right. I'm gonna have to wrap this up. All right. Yeah, and I feel this way. I feel that we have been chosen. And what I have been chosen to do is to make sure that everybody in my neighborhood, in my community, gets a shot at recovery if they want it. That's really the goal. My job is to make my neighborhood better. My job is to make my household better, a better place, a safe space, a place where people can come and rejuvenate. Um, I hold meetings so that people can get together. I do a lot of service work, but more than anything, I serve. I'm a servant. I'm a vessel. Okay. Remember earlier, I said I'm a very, very selfish person. My selfishness is still there. It's just now my selfishness is I want you to make it. I want you to have a better life. I already have one. I don't need that part anymore. I already got it. I had plenty of dividends. My cup floweth over with love and acceptance and honesty and willingness and all these principles. And it's so much I get to give them away for free. And the gifts that come back, the dividends that come back. And what are those dividends? Watching somebody reclaim their lives is probably the best thing I've ever watched in the entire world. All right. All right. I'm gonna have to wrap this up. I hate to end abruptly, but let's kind of uh what it calling looks like. Right? You carry the message without preaching. You speak the truth because you lived it. You show up for others in ways no textbook can teach. Your past becomes a bridge instead of a wound. What else is going on? You don't hide your past, you use it. You listen more than you talk. You walk with purpose, not fear. So what once was a curse. You might be the same thing God uses to lift someone else. Whatever that curse was. Your worst chapters can become someone else's survival guide. So, the reflecting question here is, which part of my story is God asking me to use today? And today for me, it's talking about the different ways that how my bad past or the bad things that have happened to me were actually God educating me, preparing me for what was coming next. I tell you right now, he's preparing me for something that's coming up. I have no idea what it is, but I've been growing like a weed the last couple of weeks. It's been very uncomfortable and kind of enjoyable. I can be uncomfortable. So I'm, I can tell you right now, I'm always uncomfortable. So, all right. Thank you everybody for being here. A lot of great comments today. This is good talk. I appreciate it. Thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and keep on trudging.